If you feel like you're falling behind, second guessing every decision and wondering if you're the only one still figuring things out, you're not alone. And today we're going to be breaking down the three biggest mistakes that keep 20 something stuck and how to finally get unstuck. So, for those who don't know me, what's up? I'm Nikki. I'm a life coach for 20 somethings, from money to time management to mindset and life direction. I help 20 somethings get their shit together. So let's talk about the real stuff that no one teaches you in school, and that's the patterns that keep you overwhelmed and spinning your wheels. Today, I'm going to be talking about three of those things. All right. So the first mistake that I see that keep 20 something stuck is waiting to feel ready before you take action. Yeah, mistake number one is waiting to feel ready before you take action. Here's the problem with that. Most 20 somethings don't feel, well, most 20 somethings feel like they need more clarity before they start. Okay. But instead of gaining clarity, they typically don't do anything and they just stay in this thought of, I need clarity before I start. But here's the thing, clarity comes from action, not overthinking. So, really, you're not behind, you're just not in motion. All right. And that's why waiting to feel ready before you take action keeps you stuck in your 20s because it keeps you of this cycle of not being in action. So here's two examples that I see quite often. First one is waiting to apply for a job until you feel quote unquote qualified. And to be honest, the majority of applicants and hires are never 100% qualified. You just need to apply. You're creating these boundaries in your head of like not being qualified or not being good enough. So then you don't apply. No one said you couldn't. All right. So you might as well just go ahead and do it. You never know what's going to happen. All right. Next example, I see so often with my clients that I work with is putting off routines or habits until life calms down. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, life isn't going to calm down for you. You need to build the routines and habits so you can handle life better. That's the biggest thing. All right. So here's the solution for, waiting to feel ready before you take action in your 20s. Lower the bar. Lower the bar for yourself. You're only in your 20s. You're trying to figure these things out. All right? Start small. One of the best ways I teach this is really through micro challenges. One clear step a week to build momentum. That is the best way to help you get unstuck and stop making this mistake in your 20s. All right, so mistake number two that I see from 20 somethings is letting comparison set the pace. All right, here is why I see this like explode in your 20s. All right, let's just say you're now 20, you're in your young 20s, okay? We go through this process of growing up where we are in essentially like formal school. You go to school at this exact time, you go to this class at this exact time, you end school at this time, then you go home and then you do XYZ. You and your friends are in the exact same classes, you take the exact same tests. Um, you do everything together. So everybody around you is on the same exact path as you until you graduate from high school or until you graduate from college. And at that point, it kind of becomes a free for all because you're not forced into this specific timeline or events of things. Now you basically do whatever you want. And that's the biggest struggle with 20 somethings is now like the reins are let go and they say, here you go. Go at it. You're an adult now, which you don't, of course, have the tools, but that's a whole different conversation. But that's why comparison runs rampant in your 20s because one friend ends up going to get their doctorate, another friend ends up getting married and starting to have kids, another person goes to travel. Everybody's doing their own things because they have their own interests, their own goals, their own things. Everybody has their own circumstances of life as well. So that's why comparison, then you start seeing everybody doing all these things, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so behind. And that kind of dives into the whole social media thing. Like, I do feel like to a certain extent that social media has us believing everyone's on this like massive fast track of life. Everyone's exceeding. No one is doing bad. Everyone is out there winning in their 20s except for you. That is so wrong. Okay? Absolutely incorrect. All right, first off, just a reality check. Vulnerability requires showing the bad sides of life. And the majority of people on social media aren't going to show you that. Okay? So here are some examples that I see, even though I've kind of already talked about some, but about letting comparison set the pace in your 20s. Feeling like you're behind if you don't have your dream job or partner. Your 20s are truly a time to set this really strong foundation, kind of like building a house. It needs a really strong foundation, okay? You're not going to have your dream job in your 20s. Your 20s are really the time to set that foundation to get your dream job in the future, okay? And more than likely, you might not find your dream partner. You might not. It doesn't matter. But this is a time to set a foundation to welcome your dream partner into your life by practicing communication, setting boundaries, going to therapy if you have childhood or things that you really want to develop, strengthening your emotional intelligence, diving into that personal development world so you can show up and be the best partner as well. All right. Next example I see with comparison is copying someone else's path, even though it doesn't align with you. And here's the thought process with this is like, if you see somebody that's doing XYZ and they now have their dream job on social media, or something's happening, you probably think, all right, well, I need to do the exact same thing that they're doing. So you're going to copy their path. And first off, that's a horrible idea because it's never going to happen the exact way. It's not going to turn out the exact way that it happened for them because you have different circumstances. You guys are going to take slightly different actions and you're going to have different results. That's just the way it is. And you are your own person. Okay. So you could probably convince yourself that this is going to work out and you're going to be happy with it because this person you see on social media is happy with it. But that's not the case because you are not that person. All right. So here's a solution to that. Measure backwards. Compare yourself to 6 months ago. Celebrate your progress, not perfection. Okay. I can't drill that in enough. And I want to say from my experience, I'm going to have to go back and find the video or something. I talked about how my 20s was a series of really small, simple actions that led to this bigger picture of where I am today. When I was in my 20s doing these very simple actions, it didn't seem like life earth-shattering, roll out the red carpet events. But those tiny micro events that did happen were the whole reason why I'm here today. All right. And looking back at it now, I see that. And if I took time to reflect and compare myself over that timeline, I could see that those tiny things were really building me into the person that I am today. All right, mistake number 3 that keeps 20 something stuck is trying to fix everything all at once. Guilty. I get it. We all are. All right. It you get into this I mean it comes with the comparison, it comes with the lack of action, and then you just get so overwhelmed and you're like, "Oh my God, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do that. I need to do it all and I need to do it right now." And that overwhelm then creates you into this like hyperaction, I don't even know what to call it, of doing too much too fast. And when you do too much too fast, you then burn yourself out, you spiral negatively, you then bring on the anxiety or panic attacks, and that really reinforces this all or nothing mindset. And that all or nothing mindset absolutely kills growth. All right. It is a growth killer. All right. So it sounds counterproductive, but honestly, you have to start with small single things. All right. So some examples that I see is like, of course, like starting 5 habits at once and then quitting when it gets too much because you're doing too much. That's the whole thing. You need to start smaller. Or even feeling paralyzed because you don't know where to begin. So it's like kind of going back to what I said. Oh my God, I need to manage my time. I party too much on the weekends. I spend too much money. I don't eat healthy. All I do is DoorDash. I've gained 20 pounds. I don't go outside and exercise anymore. All I do is scroll on my phone, and that's bad. All right. If you try and change all those things at once, of course, you're going to burn yourself out. So here's your solution. You need to choose one thing, one habit, one area, master it, and move on to the next one. Okay? So if you want to manage your weekends better, start with the Saturday. If you want to stop door dashing, start with just eating in one meal. If you want to start losing weight, just start with 1 pound. Okay? I'm going to give you an insider secret. Okay? You may not like the fact that you're like only focusing on one thing, for example, like time management and creating routine in your day to day. But guess what? That productivity and efficiency is going to bleed into your health, your exercise, your work, your money, because now you have the capacity to handle it all because you're managing your time better. This is why I am so incredibly passionate about the way you handle your day to day schedule, these small micro actions, because ultimately that's the true reason why you're not getting your shit together in your 20s and you're staying stuck and you're doing these 3 mistakes. You don't have the time capacity to do so. All right. So if you're stuck, it doesn't mean that you're broken. Does it means basically you don't have a roadmap, but you can build one step by step. And if you want more support, that's what I do. I coach 20 somethings one on one on all of these things and so much more. And you don't have to figure it out alone. And honestly, the more you surround yourself with other people to help you, the more you're going to figure it out quicker and probably better. So if you're interested in getting support or working with me, first step is to schedule a free consultation call. All right, go to my website, go to social media, use the link below in the comments to schedule that free consultation call. It's one-on-one, it's private, it is free. I can't stress that enough. Even if you don't end up working with me, honestly, you're still going to have some massive takeaways from that consultation call. All right? So, quick recap, the 3 mistakes that 20 somethings make in this decade of their life: waiting to feel ready, not taking action until you feel ready, comparing your timeline to other people on social media, your friends or family, and then lastly, trying to fix everything at once. If you have any questions, drop it below in the comments. If not, I hope you have an awesome day. Take some time to reflect on this, and if you have any questions, like I said, drop them below.